Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Njideka Kelley, and I have two wonderful participants with me today. I have, yes?
Atto is not here? Atto.
Not yet. Not
All right,
yet.
can you guys hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I hear
All
you.
right, fine, because this thing is saying that my speaker is not working, so I'm not sure what's going on.
I can hear you.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so we're going to be talking first. Today it's an icebreaker following all our subsequent meetings that will just bring Africa to the dinner table. So welcome everyone to our week, our African dinner table. And Lourdes chose dinner table because it just connotes what we do as Africans. We eat and then we chat, right? We talk and we laugh, we talk to family and we drink and all that. And guess what? This is where everything happens, on the African dining table, isn't it?
Exactly.
Good. So that's why she brilliantly chose this. And that's Her Excellency Lourdes, who is a representative in the Angola, is a House of Representatives. She will introduce herself, so will Ed, and anyone else who's going to join us will do the same. So let me turn it over to Lourdes. Go ahead, my friend.
Thank you, everyone. I am Lourdes Caposo Fernandez. I am so happy to be on this African dinner table and hosted by Dr. Kelley from Nigeria.
Yes.
I am a compliance lawyer, and now I am a congresswoman. But above all, I am a daughter of this great continent.
That's right.
I am a Pan-African. I believe that we are all one family. It was just boundaries that divide us, but more I know brothers and sisters from other African countries, more I know we are just one family.
That's right. That is so wonderful. Ed, let's hear about you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kelley, for hosting us on this wonderful dinner table. It's a beautiful menu you've got for us tonight.
Yes.
Look, my name is Edmund Shoko. I'm a South African. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. And I would like to quote one of the greatest statesmen that South Africa has had to date. His name is Thabo Mbeki, and he simply says, "I am an African."
That's right.
And that is what I am.
That's right. I like that. I like that. I am African, and so am I. Yes. Yes. And guess what? We are in charge of bringing the Africa that we want to the globe. We are responsible for that. There is no one else who's going to do that for us. So on that note, yes? Did you say something, Lourdes? Okay. Okay. So on that note, let's just informally talk about this great dish that we make in Nigeria. And then we're going to talk about a dish from Angola. Lourdes? I don't know what dish you're going to be giving us today. Are you going to talk about any special dish from Angola? And Ed already told me he's not going to be cooking. He's not going to be sharing any recipe.
I think we can talk just what we like the most.
Okay.
In our continent.
Yes. And
tomorrow we may be more prepared.
Mm-hmm.
To have a specific dish. I think today we can put a menu. Let's think how start today and which day. In Angola we have one day, which is Saturday. Mm-hmm. It's all only traditional food. We don't put any international menu. What about you? Which the day that you eat every day in your countries?
Well, in Nigeria, the special day is Christmas. And on Christmas Day, that's where all the dishes come out. But on every given day, the staple foods there is the jollof rice or the fufu with different kinds of soup. And fufu is just a paste or dough of, some of the starchy products that we have, like the cassava fufu. You can have gari fufu. You can have plantain fufu. Any of those starch or iron that you mash up and make into a dough is called fufu. How is it in South Africa, Ed? What's the staple food in South Africa?
We've got this milli meal porridge. It's a thick porridge called pap. It's made of milli meal. Yeah, so the millies are ground to a powder, and then they are cooked into a thick porridge, and we call it pap. And we eat it with various relish. You can eat it with meat. You can eat it with vegetables. And so forth, and it's generally one of the daily meals that we have. But of course, we do mix. We are a melting pot of culture, whereby we've got so many different foods. From some of the foods are even European, by colonization, I suppose. But one of our favorite meals, usually we have them on Sundays. And that's we call them offals. I don't know what you guys call them. Tripe.
Tripe, okay. Yeah. The cow tripe from the stomach.
Tripe and pap. Yeah, that's what we have.
Right. Well, we just have Atto joined us. Hi, Atto.
Yeah, sorry for being 7 minutes late.
Welcome.
I had to take a very important call locally.
Okay. That's African, by the way. That's African.
Well, I try not to do that. But I had to take a health-related call. Yeah, so sorry. And yeah.
That's gonna be one of the topics we are gonna talk about. It punctuality.
All right.
Yes, I think definitely we should talk about. Okay. It's important. Yeah.
Atto, you're going to just give us a short profile of who you are. We already started. We have Ed on the phone from South Africa. We have Lodis from Angola and myself. And we're just on our African dinner table. And as we said, in Africa, everything happens on that dining table. We eat, we converse, we touch bases, and we strategize. So that's what we're going to be doing in this Zoom platform. And I'm recording, so we're going to be sharing this all over to bring our African brothers and sisters together. As Lodis said, we are African. And in the words of Mbeki Tembi, right, from South Africa, Ed said, I am African. So, and I know you are. So tell us about who you are.
So I have to make sure I don't say anything. The other part is I wish I would have had a haircut before this call, but I've been postponing it partly due to coronavirus. I can't go to the barber. Not having a hair clippers and a bit of my own laziness. So if you see me touch my nose, which we have been told not to do during coronavirus because the beard is worrying me. Yeah. So great. So yeah, my name is Atto Zinapia. I'm from Ghana. I care a lot about Ghana and I love Africa. But currently I am in Maryland, USA. I've been here since March 16th. I got here just before most American states went into lockdown and Ghana itself went into lockdown and people couldn't, they stopped flights and things like that. The interesting thing is I actually flew South African Airways. Ed, this is for you. I flew South African Airways on that day. And obviously I've not been able to go back because of the lockdowns and Ghana's borders got closed. And then sadly, South African Airways, which is also my favorite airline, apparently has been liquidated. So I might not be able to fly with South African Airways to go back to Ghana.
Oh, wow.
Just for now, we're working on it. All right. Okay. It's coming back.
So when are you coming back? I've asked some South African Airways employees when you're coming back. When are you coming back? What are you headed?
Just hold your breath.
Hold your breath.
I should hold my breath for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, but I like I said, I really like South African Airways, and one of the reasons I like South African Airways a lot is because the food they serve is closer to African food than most airlines. I'm very, very big on not just Ghanaian food but African food.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Did I leave any other questions? I think we're just doing the intro, right? Okay. No. So I'm a social entrepreneur. Sorry. I run a social enterprise called Ghana Think Foundation. We are into youth empowerment. We mostly work in Ghana. Since last year, we've been trying to do some stuff outside Ghana. But basically, we're into youth empowerment, and we do programs for young people that are in networking, mentoring, volunteering, and training. So that's like my organization. But aside that, I also do a lot of consultancies. So I do consultancies in youth and technology, and more recently agric. So that's how I make, because we don't make that much money from Ghana Think. So I do the consultancies to kind of like pay the bills and things like that. Yeah, so that's me. And I'm sure I'll get to share more later.
Good. That's very good. Thank you for joining us. So we were just talking about staple foods from where we are. I talked about jollof rice, and Ed talked about this pap. It's called pap. And I think he said it's made from millet. I'm not sure. And you can eat it with meat, especially tribe. I don't know if I said all that right. And then Lodis told us
It's
about
made from maize meal. Maize meal.
Okay, not millet, maize meal. And for Lodis, on Saturdays is the day all Angolans cook their national foods. That's wonderful. And I said, Nigerians will do that only on Christmas. We just get to eat whatever we see. So, and that's rice, jollof rice, fufu, and soup, and all of that stuff. So what is it in Ghana? I know Ghana makes good jollof rice, actually. Is that right?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we have a big debate about jollof, but
whether it's from Nigeria or from Ghana.
Let's not get into that too much. But before I come to jollof, I have had pap. I think one of the times I was in South Africa, and I mean, I've been to Angola twice thanks to Mama Lodesh.
Oh, wow.
And I tried a lot of the Angolan food. For me, I like to try lots of different food. Like everywhere I go, I get the local food. I joke that my stomach is very strong, so I can handle almost anything. So I'm quite adventurous when it comes to food. But in Ghana, I mean, jollof is definitely a very popular staple here. I think, because it's rice and it's not that difficult to make, it's something that people eat a lot. I mean, you could say like for 7 days in a week, a Ghanaian family might eat jollof like 4 times in a week.
Yes.
So it's very popular. But we have but we have another very staple like rice dish, which is my favorite. And it's called wache.
Wache.
So yeah, wache. So if we're trying to spell it in English, you do WAACHE, wache.
Okay.
And it's also a rice-based dish, but it's mostly rice and beans. So I don't know if you guys have been to like Jamaican restaurants.
Yes.
They have something called rice and peas.
Yes.
It's like rice and peas. It's very similar to that.
Okay.
But we cook ours a lot with we use a different kind of beans as to what the Jamaicans use. So it's very beans-ish. Like there's a lot of beans in the dish. So it's a lot of protein. And then we eat that with a normal like gravy or a sauce, a tomato sauce. In Ghana, I think compared to even a lot of African countries, Ghana is very, very big on sauces.
Yes.
Like we have different types of sauces. I mean, even to the extent that when some people are eating jollof, they add sauce. because jollof is cooked with a sauce, right?
Yes.
But when some people are eating jollof in Ghana, they add a sauce. So the joke in Ghana is that people who eat jollof with sauces or gravies, they have trust issues. You know, because it's already been cooked with sauce and gravy. So why you adding more? Like, you don't trust
that the one you was good.
Yeah. So wachi is normally eaten with like a gravy tomato sauce. We normally add like spaghetti to it. We add another thing called gari, which is like a grated cassava. And then we also add different types of meat. So, I mean, like if you're eating wachi and they take a picture of it, it tends to be very colorful. Wow. And that's one thing people really like about the food.
Wow.
And it's also very filling because of all the beans. It's very protein heavy. And I think one of the jokes that we also make about wachi in Ghana is that it's the best selling food. Like anyone if you start to sell wachi in the morning, it gets finished before any other meal.
Wow.
So that's how much people really love it. So that's just, some thoughts about the meal. And yeah.
Okay, that's good. That must be really rich, because in Nigeria, the rice is either jollof or fried rice, as they say, or just rice and stew.
Yeah.
Same tomato base that you're talking about. I mean, there are other foods. There's yam you could make into pottage. There's, but Nigerians are heavy on what we call soup. But that soup is thick. It's not like the light soup that you get here when you have a cold with all kinds of meat in one pot. So, Lodis, what is the favorite, what is the staple food for Angola?
The beans. We use a lot of beans. Yes, we use a lot of beans. With the palm oil. We call beans with palm oil. Is very everyone knows about it. It's like one that all Angolans know, that we have the beans with the palm oil, and we eat with the cassava powder. But not the one we do fufu. Okay. Is the one that we do. It's like brown. I don't know if in your country you use. It's cassava, but then you do a different manner that you can eat it just directly, or you can put on palm oil beans.
I don't know that. Ed, do you have that in South Africa?
No.
No. Okay, that's good. I mean, it's interesting that we're one continent, we're Africans, we're all brothers and sisters, but our foods are so different. Are they? What is it about our food though that brings us together, or does it? Does it really bring us together? I mean, if I see Ed, a South African, and me being a Nigerian, would I readily want to taste food from South Africa, or will I just go to Chinese? I mean, if he's offering dinner, he's probably going to say, do you want this or that? I'll probably say, I'm good, let me do Chinese. Or in Angola, will I say, let me do the beans? Or in Ghana, what is it that food is supposed to do for us, but it doesn't, in my opinion? Ed, do you want to share?
I mean, look, I've traveled across the breadth of Africa and in many countries. And one thing I've realized is that when you're having an African meal, it's not an African meal if there's no starch on it. Energy-giving foods. So we love energy-giving foods. We love foods that are filling. Maybe it's because if you look at our background, we were very hardworking people. And we didn't have so many meals per day. Like maybe we would have one meal and work very hard. So we always had those energy-filling foods. So yeah, I've realized that across the landscape, an African meal, there'll always be something with starch in it.
Always something with starch. And I had friends from Grenada, the Caribbeans, and they will joke that because it's so hot, in Africa, we want starch because when we walk or whatever we do, we sweat so much and we need energy. Is that a joke or is that really true?
Well, it does sound scientific to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, things are just so, hard, like these guys will tell me. But guess what? Africa is just a beautiful, beautiful continent. I lived in Tanzania, and I know that for every meal, every dinner time, the table is filled up with all kinds of food. There's nyama ya kuchoma, which is a roast beef. There's plantain. There's vegetables. There's corn. All kinds of different things in one meal. Now I see that, and I know it's different in Nigeria. In Nigeria, it's usually one or two types of meal. I mean, I'm talking about on a daily basis. Tanzanians eat like they are feasting. Is that the same in Angola, Lourdes?
No. We have the three main meals.
Yes.
But I'm going to apologize myself. I needed to switch from my phone to iPad because my phone is getting low. So I want you to accept me on other.
I just did.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
So I was saying,
okay.
I was saying that better. I was saying that in Angola we have three main meals. It depends of regions. Some regions they do it exactly like you explained, like Tanzania. But usually we eat just heavy African food during lunchtime. But some regions they eat fufu in the evening, which is another thing I want to ask about you. In your countries, you eat those kind of heavy food in the evening. What about hot meal?
Spicy.
So you use a lot of hot like Nigeria does. I can't eat in Nigeria too much. The food is so hot.
Yes, it's very spicy.
Too much.
Very, very spicy food. And yes, in Nigeria, because most people eat dinner, one meal together, because for lunch, they're at work or school or whatever they're doing. So for dinner, when the dinner table is set, you find fufu, maybe two different kinds of soup, which might be okra, or what they call vegetable soup. You might have, you always have rice as a second one, and plantains, fried plantains. But yes, it's really very hard. But the people who eat the really, really hard food from the West, the Yorubas, eat very, very hard. Igbos eat hard food, but not as much in Nigeria.
You mean hard food like,
Spicy.
I don't know, yams and things?
No, spicy.
Oh, spicy. Okay.
Really spicy food. The soup is very spicy. The stew, very spicy. In the West, that's the Yoruba. Yoruba people eat a lot of food. Igbos not as much, and I am Igbo.
Cool. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I think as we are in the same region as you, we also do a lot of spice.
Yeah.
I mean, Ghanaians do a lot of spice. I'll tell you a funny joke. So the last time I was in Kenya, this was in October 2018. I went there with about 6 social entrepreneurs that we had trained through our Ghana Think program. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, they were going to Kenya for the first time, and they didn't know how not spicy Kenyan food is. Like, Kenyan food is not very spicy. Mm. So some of them struggled to eat some of the food in Kenya because they were like, it doesn't have a lot of spice, there's not a lot of taste. They wish they had carried, there's a very popular spice we have in Ghana called shito.
Yeah, shito.
Yeah, it's like a black pepper spice. They wish they had carried that to...
oil, isn't it? Pepper
Yes.
fried in oil.
Yes, and we also add like shrimps and like a fishy, so it's a bit fishy. So they wish they had carried that to Kenya, because for Ghanaians, like you can add shito to any rice related or most meals to just make it better. So far as we are concerned.
Oh my God! Oh my.
So yeah, we really like spice. We
I,
really like
I have
spice
a
and hot.
question.
Yes.
I have a question, Eddie. I think among four of us, you are the one that traveled the most because you work with the African Union. Do you find any similarities on food for African countries?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, like I did mention, you know, that organic aspect. Of course, the starch will always be on the table, and something also that Kelly just mentioned, the issue of variety.
Mm-hmm.
That is also synonymous with Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Always have various things on the table for you to you know, such that if you don't want to eat something else, you won't leave the dinner table a hungry person. There will be
Right.
something.
And the other thing that I don't know if in your countries you use a lot, we use a lot of greens.
Mm-hmm.
Vegetables.
Not only vegetables, the leaves.
Okay.
You
Okay.
do a lot in Ghana,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, we do have greens. Yeah, we do have greens. But what I've also noticed is we do have some European salads that are creeping in. You know, like the Greek salad, and so forth. And they're creeping in. And if you look at a South African dish, a South African affluent dish today, it's more of sweet and creamy stuff. You know, sweet and creamy stuff.
Wow, I find that interesting. He says that the European Ed says the European food is creeping in, and then he says affluent
Yeah.
dinner table. So are we losing our authenticity? I mean, why do we want to give up our spiciness to have more sweets and creams?
Yeah, so let me say something quick about that, because I've traveled around the continent a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And first, picking South Africa, when I think of South Africa, I mean, I've not been to many places in South Africa, but I've been to Soweto and I've been to Joburg. And I mean, Ed used the word affluent, but
Yeah.
I will probably use the word cosmopolitan. I think South Africa is probably the most cosmopolitan of the African countries.
Yes.
Which means that there are so many influences all the time on, you know, kind of like what is happening. And I think that is also affecting what people eat. So I think it's more of, you know, maybe affluent or maybe upper class people have developed a lot of taste for different types of things. So they've just kind of like expanded the menu at home. But to add to that, I think I mean, obviously in East Africa and, you know, a bit to Southern Africa, there's less, you know, spicy food. And I think one of the interesting things around West Africa is also sauces. I think like the idea of sauces is quite, you know, different when you go around the continent, you know. So, I mean, like in Ghana, we make a sauce from tomatoes, we make a sauce from garden eggs, we make a sauce from spinach, we make a sauce from cassava leaves, like there's so many stews in Ghana. It's crazy. So I think we eat a lot of greens within sauces, as opposed to, you know, a lot of families, as opposed to like salads, right? Like you're eating jollof, and then you have like some lettuce and cabbage and maybe carrots next to it. So I think a lot of the maybe more upper class families would do more of like the salads and the greens on their own. But I think especially in many majority of families in Ghana, people cook the greens and the vegetables with the sauce. Yeah.
I just want to add something there that you've just provoked, actually.
Yes, it's good to
When
provoke.
you started talking cosmopolitan aspect. Actually, what I've noticed is when I go to East Africa, it's actually the opposite. The more affluent or cosmopolitan a person is, the more they're going back to their traditional food. So they love eating their arrowroot. They love drinking their Kenyan that Kenyan tea, of course, the traditional tea, and so forth. Also in South Africa, it's the opposite. As you go cosmopolitan, you run away from.
Yeah, but that's interesting in East Africa, though. Do you think this is just a movement towards like more organic food as opposed to like Kenyan staple meals? Because like what you mentioned to me sounds more like organic, like trying to be healthier, when you're eating, as opposed to like maybe eating ugali a lot and eating, nyama choma and there's this spinach. It's popular spinach thing in Kenya that I've forgotten. Do you think that's what it is, Ed?
Yeah, because when I look at the foods, the traditional food, the traditional organic food, like arrowroot and the nyama chomas that you are talking about, yeah.
Okay.
But do you think that Africans eat a lot of cooked versus raw foods? Like here in the West, you can say that most things are just raw with the salads and stuff like that. But it seems to me that in Africa, we tend to cook a lot of times. Is that true?
Yeah, a lot of boiling.
A lot of boiling.
Yeah. I totally agree. When you said that, it made me think about Ethiopia for a minute.
Okay.
Because, Ethiopia, they have this like raw meats that they eat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they eat a lot of raw meat. I think, for raw meat was just a bit difficult for me. So I might have tried it, but not too much. But yeah, I think, to S point, like we boil a lot. There's a lot of boiling, and I think it's, and I don't know if it has to do with, if there's a bit of an economic thing around that though, because like, especially in Ghana, we have a lot of carbohydrate heavy meals, right? So like we eat a lot of, apart from all the rice, we eat a lot of like, we boil yam, eat it with the sauce, boil cassava or boil plantain, eat it with the sauce, fufu with the soup, so soups and sauces. And I think maybe because we are like very heavy on carbohydrates, we also tend to kind of prepare sauces to match with the carbohydrates, and that comes with always boiling and cooking, as opposed to if we're doing more like maybe vegetable dishes or salad types, or even like vegetable with meat dishes, then we're not doing so much boiling or frying, because we do a lot of frying in Ghana.
A lot of frying too.
Yeah, we do a lot of frying.
Yeah. Lourdes, what do you think? Is that, or is it a cultural, even a religious factor where we feel that foods have to be cooked for us to eat it? Is it that because we just tend to boil a lot? What is that about?
Our food, the interesting thing about this topic that we choose to start this week of African topics, usually our food, it's our culture. And it is very linked with generations. And either religious, as you said, but other influences to plays an important role on the foods we have at the table. And we have a lot of Muslim now in our continent. Of course, it influences us, of course, the type of food they eat at home. But what I would like us to talk also as well, it's why we do not have, as we have for musicians, why we don't have too many entrepreneurs for African food. why we don't have more restaurants. When I travel, it's the African restaurant I found the most is Ethiopian.
Ethiopian.
Yes, Ethiopian. They have a very strong entrepreneurship strategy to open restaurants around the world. I'm not talking only US. Even if you go to China, you find Ethiopian restaurants. But you don't find Nigeria, you don't find South African, you don't find Ghanaian, you don't find Angolan. In Texas, you find some Nigerian restaurants. Actually, Kelly took me to two, but it's because of the community. But for me, it's not only the clients that must move the entrepreneurship of African food, but should be also the culture, should be also the opportunity. Embassy of France in Angola, they do every year a fair of francophone African countries to show their food. I just found amazing. You should see the table of DRC food. The line is there. People don't go too much to the Togolese or Cote d'Ivoire, but the DRC, everyone wants to go to Congolese because they are very good on some food because they travel a lot to our countries, and they brought to our countries the taste of our Congolese food.
Okay.
So when you have this kind of fairs, you are interested to go the original Congolese food, how it sounds. So
Great.
After Ethiopian, I think Congolese, they also are very proud to share their food, and Moroccan as well. Morocco, you can find also mainly the desserts. I love the desserts in Morocco. They have very good desserts.
That's interesting. So, I mean, you've said the Congolese case is because, you know, they're a bit of a melting pot and they interact with a lot of different cultures. So their food tends to be similar to other types of food. Lodesh, I was going to ask if do you think Angola and DRC culturally are a bit similar? Before I come to the whole Ethiopian bit. Lodesh?
Yes, no doubt. We are neighbors. The same as Nigeria and Ghana. You just mentioned that you have similar food. In Angola and Congo, we have also some foods that are very similar. Mainly Cabinda, which is the province neighbor to Congo. You find a lot of similar food. There is one food that I just start eating as an adult. So it's so interesting. Sometimes you grow up with one kind of food, and you are getting older, and you meet other foods. Mention about it because of oil and gas industry that I work. I start meeting a lot of people from Congo and from North. My family is from South, and from South we use more fufu of maize, not too much cassava. And you go up to North, people use more cassava. But there is a fish, dry fish, that they do with the tomato sauce. They fry it first. It called macayabo. So it's from Congo, but we are eating a lot in Angola now. So it's like bacalhau. I don't know if you heard about this, codfish from Portugal.
Oh, codfish, yes.
Codfish,
yes. It's similar to codfish, but it's called macayabo. It's from DRC. It's very popular in Angola now. Wow. You go even to a big parties, you find everybody eating macayabo. So I just started eating macayabo like 1 year ago or 2 years ago. But it's the way African food, because it tastes so good, and it's African food. You get addicted to.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, that's great. The whole
But you have
codfish.
not. I'm sorry, Ato. You have not answered my question.
No,
which
I'm
is one
coming
of
to
the
that.
questions I had for this
I'm
topic
coming to
today.
that.
Why
Yeah.
less entrepreneurship? Why no more entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So
Like
just before I come to that, I just wanted to mention how, like when I went to Sao Tome, it was very, very heavy on fish and seafood because it's an island. And I think, you know, in Ghana, we see similar, right? I mean, the most staple dish in Accra, which is in the south, the tribe there, the Gans, their staple dish is kind of, is a bit like, it's a bit closer to, no, Benku in Ghana is closer to pap and co, but their kenke dish has a lot of seafood. Yeah. But for the entrepreneur side, I mean, I was in the US for a while, and I used to visit a lot of African communities. So which meant that I also went to as many Ethiopian restaurants as I could find. And I think the biggest thing about the Ethiopian restaurants compared to other restaurants has to do with the experience of eating the food. You know, so the way, like, if you go to an Ethiopian restaurant, they make you sit in a certain way. You know, you don't use like the normal, you know, cutlery and plates and things to eat. You eat with your hands. I think that is probably the most important thing about why Ethiopian restaurants are doing very well in the US and other places, because people go for the experience. And then I think the second thing around that, which is a bit more tougher to look at, is also even just how oily or messy the food is.
Our food.
Yes. How oily they are or how messy they are. You know, so like, because we eat with our hands with a lot of African foods, but for the Ethiopian foods, you don't create too much of a mess. You know, compared to like maybe when you're doing the soups and, you know, all of these things. So I think that's what it really comes down to. I don't think it's because the Ethiopians are that much more entrepreneurial than other Africans. I think there's a bit of a brand to it, you know, that people want Ethiopian food. You know, a lot of people who are not Africans want Ethiopian food. So that also, you know, because I mean, maybe we don't see a lot of Ghanaian, Nigerian, or South African restaurants around the US, but it's not for lack of trying, right? We do have some of these restaurants, but they're not as popular as the Ethiopian ones. For instance, when I was in California, we used to go to maybe a Nigerian restaurant. There's a Senegalese restaurant that we also went to. There's also I think later on there was a Nigerian restaurant that we also went to. And you could see that, because the big difference is who comes to these restaurants, right? The Ethiopian restaurants, you have people from all walks of life, different races. But the Nigerian and Ghanaian and South African ones, well, I don't know too much about South African restaurants abroad, but at least the Nigerian and Ghanaian ones, mostly it's West Africans who come to those restaurants. So I don't think it's because they are that more entrepreneurial. I think it's just because of the brand and the experience. So I think what the other countries can learn from is the experience. And one of the great things these days, I'll share a link to a friend of mine in Ghana. She does like a food show on YouTube, and the way she presents the food is so cool. It's like so nice, you know. So she's experimented with presenting food in a very nice way, and I think that's how we can do that for some of the other restaurants, right? Whereby you can improve the experience, improve the way the food is served. I think that's what's going to make them do better, you know, business-wise or entrepreneurship-wise.
That's very interesting, Lodis and Ato, because yes, one thing is that from West Africa, our foods are more spicy, and it doesn't really suit the palates of people from the West, right? You know, I mean, the Western Hemisphere. So that is one. Then secondly, because of those sauces you talk about, and we tend to eat with our hands, it is messy. But coming to Lodi's point, I think where we need to venture is to form communities that are socially and economically acceptable to all people. Now, for instance, in Houston, what you find is that Nigerians tend to stick to themselves, Ghanaians stick to themselves, Angolans stick to themselves, and we have, even in Nigeria, you have the different ethnic groups sticking to themselves.
Do you think that's because the numbers are big? Because what I've realized around the US is this happens less when you don't have as many big numbers for different countries. If you're in a place where there are not that many Nigerians, not that many Ghanaians, people tend to find each other. But once there are a lot of Nigerians, then people want to kind of do their Nigerian thing. People want to kind of do their Ghanaian thing.
That might be true, but places like Indiana, for instance, where you have one of the universities there with a lot of African students, there might be one Nigerian restaurant and Nigerian food store. But the people that you find patronizing those will be the Nigerians or Ghanaians or Sierra Leone or Cameroon. But you're not going to find an Angolan or a South African going there. So we need to do more. We need to do more in Africa to connect. This is why this show that we're doing, you know, whether we realize it or not, is so important, because we need to talk about the things that affect us, and we need to market Africa as a global
Exactly.
whether it's our food. Yes, go ahead.
Let me say something quick to that.
Okay.
So just because we talked about music, I think we just need to follow the musicians, right? The music has cut across, for me, if you ask me, mostly due to YouTube. And, you know, African parties. So you go to an African party, you hear music from everywhere. So I think one of the easiest things that some of these restaurants can do is open up to entertainment. So do nightlife events, do, you know, organize clubs, organize concerts, organize things that are around the music. Because once it's the music, everybody is coming, right? Even if you're just doing only Nigerian music, everybody is coming. Mm-hmm. And then, so once they get to know of those places, then they will be, because of the familiarity, they would want to come there during the day for food. Mm. So I think that's just one solution that the African restaurants have to do.
Okay, Ed?
Great. There's one misconception that we are always carrying. Mm-hmm. We seem to have a belief that African food is for the consumption by Africans. Uh-huh. African food is for the consumption of a human being. Okay. A Chinese person can eat gari. Mm-hmm. A European person can eat pap, mm-hmm. fish soup, and all those things that we have to offer. But the only problem that we have is living in the information age that we are in. For some strange reason, there is no information on African food.
None. I agree.
There is no well-known research on African food. Mm. But yet when we're sitting down, someone can come and tell you that, no, if you want to follow a keto diet, this is what you need to eat. And then they give you all these Mediterranean things, which are not, you know, synonymous with an African diet. But no one sits down and says, you know what, if you eat this combination of foods, which is banku and fufu, this is the health benefit that you get.
And or it's rich. It's rich.
This particular injera, they call it injera in Ethiopia. If you eat injera, this is the mental or the brain power that you get from it. We don't have a lot of that research there. And I think if that research is followed up and we document that, we are going to be marketing the benefits of eating our foods. Human beings, we're now learning that you don't just eat for the sake of eating now. We eat for the nutrients, the nutritional value, and all those wonderful things that we want to get from food. It's no longer just about enjoying the food. So I think as Africans, we need to start thinking about that. How do we document and give information about the good quality that is encapsulated in our food? The food that we eat is not only for the African human being. No, but it's actually for just a human being. Any human being can enjoy it and get the benefit.
I think that's great. And I think it's a solution that we can also work on. Because I've seen a number of like websites, and that's not even just like, you know, these last years. This is maybe 10 years ago, which would talk about some African recipes. But again, a lot of these were very country-specific type websites that they didn't really cut across. And I don't think they used to talk about nutritional things, and I don't know if they do talk about that today. So probably we could look at some of the ones that already talk about African recipes and encourage them to, you know, kind of add this component to it.
Yes. Lourdes, you want to add to that?
The point I want to add, Ato and Eddie already mentioning somehow, but it's really compare a little bit with China. We are not Chinese, but we go to Chinese restaurant. So it means they market their food on different way. Yeah. When Ato mentioned about the lady that does the videos at YouTube, that she presented so well, of course she does it very correctly, because our eyes eat first.
Right.
But but the point is, the point is, some Chinese restaurants, they're not that clean. They're not that presentable, but the taste of their food, it's what people like. And what we are discussing here, as Kelly said, we may encourage our network, our friends, for this niche of business, because there is an opportunity even between African countries. While we were talking, I was researching here about the African restaurants in Addis. There is no more than 12 African restaurants. And Addis is the capital of the Pan-African, because African Union is there. For me, they should have 50 restaurants. Each African country should open a small restaurant in Addis. Sure. Because Addis have a representative for all African countries living there. So in Addis, you can find people from all the 54 African countries. Even if you're not a member of AU, you are there for somehow.
Yeah, so
because
for me,
we are people with the links. We are people with the responsibility. In my point of view, we should advocate for not out from the continent, even inside the continent. I want Nigerians restaurant in Angola, Angolans restaurant in Nigeria. So maybe we have too many things in our plate already, but we could be the advocate and motivate entrepreneurs to go that way.
Yeah.
So I have a question for Ed on this. Because for me, I'm just not that confident about our government getting much things done. So I like to look at it from the private sector side and what we can do. That's just me.
But it's
yeah. So Ed, I mean, given that South Africa is very, like, probably more cosmopolitan, because an example I'll give is when I go to a lot of African countries, I tend to hang out with people from those countries in those places. But when I go to South Africa, I have a lot of Zimbabwean friends, Ghanaian friends, Nigerian friends, friends from all over who live in South Africa. So I wanted Ed to maybe talk about like the cosmopolitan nature of South Africa and how this is already happening there, so far as what Mama Lourdes is talking about. And then I also wanted to just chip in the idea of continental dishes. So in Ghana, there are a few restaurants that are Ghanaian restaurants, or maybe like not Ghanaian restaurants, and they have something they call continental dishes, which are dishes that are not necessarily from Ghana, and they serve there. And the funny thing is they serve things like jollof there as well, because the belief is that jollof is continental. It's in multiple African countries, or something like fufu. So I just wanted to chip that in as something that I've seen in Ghana. And Ed, if you could talk a little bit around what Mama Lodesh was asking.
Thanks for that opportunity. Yes, I will let you know that probably most of the dishes that I've gone around Africa and I've tasted, I've actually also tasted them here in South Africa. But the question is, where do you get them? And you need to know exactly where to get them. It's not like they're everywhere. And one thing that I've noticed about them, we have sort of like zones, areas. And for starters, there are some zones where you have a lot of foreign people staying there. Like if you come to Pretoria, there's a place called Sunnyside. There's a lot of foreigners staying there. And because of that, we have a lot of even supermarkets that sell cassava and all those other ingredients that they need to make their own daily dishes from back home.
In the US, they are called international markets.
Equally so, you can find here and there a restaurant that actually sells a variety of some of those dishes. And a very special place for me is Vilakazi Street in Soweto. In as much as we have a lot of South African dishes being sold there, you also find jollof rice and so forth. And so that's something that's happening, but it's happening at a very, very, very micro scale. And even if you find the nature of the restaurants that are there, they're not those cutthroat and high-level restaurants, you know. They're just small restaurants, people who are trying to do some subsistent solo trading that is going on. Of course, there is an opportunity to expand those, but possibly the question that is there is how solid is the market? How reliable is the market? And so forth. So, yeah, I hope I've responded to the matter.
I think you have. You know, it's just...
Kelly, I was going to say, maybe also, Ed, if you could talk, since, you know, AU, if you could talk about the ADIS, like how this could work in ADIS. I think Mama Lodesh was asking that.
Yes, she was asking about African countries setting up in Addis because that's the heart of Africa. That is not just interesting, but I think it's very noble. Now, is it achievable? You said something about not trusting our governments, and that is so true too. Now, what we need to do is to empower, because that's really what we're doing, and advocate for entrepreneurs to go to these places and set up. So it tells me that we have a lot to do on this platform. It tells me that our job is not just bringing Africa to the globe, but is also bringing Africans to Africa.
Very good.
Yeah.
I would like to add something. Not, of course, linked with the business, because Ato is my twin. I also think that solutions for a better Africa will come from the private sector or social entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So the third sector and the second sector are going to help to resolve the matters of Africa. So we can't just wait for government to resolve them. And food is a need. Food is the first sustainable development goal, to reduce the farm. So for me, this discussion as a politician, it's not only to promote entrepreneurship, it's to resolve one of the big problems we have in our continent, which is food. So how we are going to, because sometimes we Africans, we are not proud of ourselves. Sometimes we prefer to eat food from other countries, and we are not proud to eat our own food. It's why this debate that we are having, it's so critical in order to inspire other Africa, even our kids, that we send them outside. They eat African food because they have it at home. But I doubt if there is a Brazilian restaurant and African restaurant both across each other, they are going to Brazilian restaurants. Because I don't know if it's the way that Brazilians are marketing their restaurants, but we can do a lot because our food tastes better. That is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Our food is so good.
Yes.
We have a good food, and how we are going to advise a government should we do, and I see a lot, not too much in Angola, but I see South African cookers that they go to this very good channels on TV showing their African food. That's the way to go. But not only to show how to cook certain dishes. We need to go into the business. We need to put people eating it.
Our food, yes. Yes.
That's my point. I would like to join this conversation with the two topics, the SDG, which is to reduce the food, and the point of valuing our food. Right. How we are going to change mentality to do like Chinese did, Mexican did, Brazilian are doing. They're penetrating.
Yeah.
I'm positive some Brazilians like we start debating like we are doing, and then they start making things happen. Because Brazilian food, they just got international so quick. And it's marketing. What do you think about it?
Yes.
Look, I think for me, these are just extremely very important and wonderful points for us to move forward. But I also want to address the question of Addis that was raised earlier as we move towards this resolution. Addis Ababa is meant to be the political capital of Africa. So that means that it is the home of all the African cultures that are possibly somewhere on this continent because they host the African Union. But one thing that I've picked up, and in line with what you're saying, there are very few restaurants which are of diversity, whereby you can say this is a Ghanaian restaurant and so forth. And one of the first things that I picked up was that the ease of doing business in Ethiopia is very difficult. To set up a company, the laws that you have to go through, the hurdles that you need to go through just to set up are going to be insurmountable.
Is that for both Ethiopians and non-Ethiopians, or
anyone who is external, for a non-citizen?
Okay.
And now I don't see an Ethiopian actually then saying, no, I want to cook curry. They don't know how to cook it, even if they want to. That's something that a Ghanaian can do better. And now a Ghanaian has to go and set up business, but for you to set up business is going to be very difficult. That's the question of the business environment being made difficult. And then the other thing is we have some serious social dynamics. And this is something that is very sad for me to discuss, especially at a forum like this one, but it's actually real. Let's come back home to South Africa. Right. The question of xenophobia. Whenever we say, there's been a xenophobic attack somewhere, guess who is being attacked? It's your fellow brother. Yes. And now if you have set up a restaurant which clearly makes you a distinct target, you say, there's a Nigerian shop. The day they say we're attacking foreigners, which shop do you think they'll go for first? For some reason, they go for the Nigerian shop first and they leave the Brazilian guy's shop. I don't know.
Those are good points.
I'm eating sweet rice.
Sorry, well, I don't have my food here with me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but really great points, Ed. Just talking about the ease of business, that's not something I really knew about Addis or Ethiopia. I mean, we talk about Rwanda and how it's easier to register businesses there. So maybe we should look a bit around Rwanda too. Ed, I don't know if you could also tell us how the situation is in South Africa. I know in Ghana it's quite hard for foreigners to register businesses here because of policy. Foreigners have to put down a certain amount of money to register a business, and even that business, they have to register it with Ghanaians, because we have a very strong local content policy, which says that, whatever business is registered in Ghana, there has to be like a Ghanaian component. So I even, I helped like my friends from Kenya who have a Kenyan company that has gone to like about at least 14 African countries. We're trying to set up in Ghana. And when we were setting up, Ghanaians had to be part of the business, like as shareholders. So I know this is a real issue as well. And then I think he also made a good point about, the xenophobia. And I think the way we can really look at that is just, just interacting more, with others, I mean, if, I don't know, you could speak to this, Ed, but do you think like even those who like perpetrate some of these xenophobic attacks, like, is it that they're not friendly with the people that they attack? Like, what are the dynamics there? Do you think that if they were friendlier and they were relating more, so this also just goes back to others, like if people were relating more with other cultures, whether they would, because for me, I think the big point here is demand. I don't know if there is enough demand for other types of African food in different dispensations. And I think that's what we need to work
on. Okay, but before Ed, you come in there, I see, what I see here is, one is a lack of information. Two is a lack of cultural acceptance all over Africa, whether it's West or East or South. So what we need to do for this group, I believe, our charge is really about advocacy. That's the first step. And in that advocacy, we need to bring cultures together. We need to bring our people together to a forum where we understand that we're each other's keeper and we're brothers and sisters. That's what's lacking in South Africa. That's why the xenophobic attacks, whereby you see a Nigerian who's your brother, and that's the one you want to attack because you say he's come to steal your jobs. This is serious, but the only reason that can occur is out of, one is ignorance, but there's also another element, I think, that, at the bottom of that is sabotage. There is sabotage, and you might be surprised where it's coming from. I'm not about to accuse anyone here, but that sabotage is what says to the South African, hey, this guy came from another country, he's taking your women, he's taking your jobs. And that's where you go to attack. And the reason for that is that that person that you're pointing at is competitors with the other Indian guy who has a shop there. So there's something, the dynamics just continue to unfold, but we are not seeing what is underlying because we're covered by, oh, he stole your job. And mind you, that job he stole is a job that just gives you $10, but the Indian guy or the Chinese guy is taking $500 home. So what do we need to do here? We need to be able to bring our people together. That's where the advocacy comes in. We need to educate our people. Once we are able to do all that, which is going to take time, by the way, but side by side, we'll be working on the business side. So when we talk about empowerment, we have to talk about empowerment on this show. We have to talk about advocacy on this show. We have to talk about food insecurity. We have to talk about education of our people. There's a lot that's missing. And if we're going to start here on this platform, we need to reach everywhere in Africa. That's what the issue is. There's a reason that they don't want us united. You do realize there's strength in numbers, and we have the numbers. Why are we so desperate? Why are we so not together? Why is our economy suffering with all the resources that God has created and dumped on this continent? What is the issue here? We need to start here. We need to start here.
Wow, 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 wow.
Yes.
Wow, Kelly.
Yes.
Now we have a direction.
Yes.
And you mentioned about food security and nutrition. Whenever I see that we have the biggest mortality for bad nutrition, it's in Africa, it breaks my heart.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of food. Those leaves, those natural foods we have, we can give to our children. So they never had a problem with the nutrition. So I think we have to, I'm glad you are recording this, Kelly.
Yes.
So, because we needed to move forward. We are doing a lot of things on dancing. We are doing a lot of things on the writers. We are doing a lot of things on IT, but I don't think we are doing a lot of things on food.
Right. Right.
It actually is a topic that we all need to eat. I was starving. I just ate. So we all need to eat to stand up.
Yes.
So it's something that we need physiologically.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I can share a bit on this, because the music thing is something I'm passionate about. I mean, Lodesh knows how much I like his Zomba. Yeah, because I used to run an African music website, and like for me, I could see this coming, because you go to an African, and I think a lot of these solutions are going to be driven by the diaspora.
Agreed.
Driven by the diaspora, and the internet, because for music, you can see, you go to like African parties and they are playing everything, right? Like that's where like we started really integrating culturally, and then you have the whole YouTube side of it, where I've heard this song, and then the next thing I want to listen to the song, and I'm going to YouTube, and then all these guys are doing better. So I think what we can learn from the musicians, I think, has to definitely do with the information age, where and I think we need to find people who are doing some of these things and push them. That's why I also mentioned the Telande folks. Introduce them to more people, let them see some of the things that are happening, let them learn, and then they can talk about where the origins of these things are also coming from. So I think that's something we could do, and I think we should also just ride the music. Just look at what music has done for fashion, African fashion.
Yeah.
Right. We started
wearing. And let me tell you something, my brothers and sister. So, we can be millionaire. We can be millionaire if we think those ideas seriously.
Yeah. So
I'm not seeing any other Africans talking seriously about food. And when you talk about food, it includes drinks. We have specific drinks in our countries.
Yeah.
And nobody talk about it. And we all drink.
Yes.
Yep.
Drink from the palm oil, drink from maize, drink from cassava, drink from this, and we drink.
Yeah.
So if we really, as Zato said, if we really create a good website or app, Ed is the man of IT. This is the guy of IT. Ed is not explaining you guys what he's doing. Eto is a revolutionary guy on compliance matters in Africa.
Great.
I met Ed at the Parliament of Angola. He was presenting a huge tool that is working in most African countries. So Ed is the one that can help us, maybe having this tool to motivate people to open the restaurant. So we can give them the consultancy from A to Z. We can give them the menus, we can do, and even we can maybe go to banks to get them loans to open restaurants.
Right.
Because we have no time to open the restaurant, but we can help them having a better restaurants. As Ato mentioned, sometimes their restaurant is not the level of some people like to go because it's not all clean or organized. I'm in Angola. We have an area that people just have fish. Today, I was talking with my daughter that I'm gonna have this talk, and my daughter was saying, "Mom, if someone with money got this 20 or 30 girls that are grilling fish there, and just give them nice t-shirts, just put that place clean, it's a tourism strategy." Because
Yep.
some people don't
There's
go
an example
there
in
because
Ghana.
it doesn't look good.
That's just working just like that. There's an example in Ghana. So definitely. I mean, and that place is a place that people go to. And I think even the good thing about that place is that now there are bars. The bars that are near there are more popular. Right? Yeah. So.
Well,
no, but we can help them getting better.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can help them getting better.
Yes. Yes, we can. This is our first Zoom meeting, and I can tell you it was mighty successful. We just have about 3 minutes to conclude. There's one thing that I believe we've taken away from this discussion. Number one, for me, is that food and music bring people together. So
no doubt. And
doubt.
Put drinks.
So, yes, and drinks, food, alcohol, music, bring people together. So we want to bring our African people together, and we want to advocate for Africa. We want to empower our youth. We want to empower our women. We want to empower families. We want to solve this problem of food insecurity. We want to bring nutrition and nutritious foods to the table of our African women. We need to eliminate poverty. We need to keep talking. We need to grow this platform and have it reach everywhere in Africa. And Lourdes, it's not going to be just for 1 week. It's going to be every day if we can, every week if we can, for years to come until we start to make impact, because we do need to make impact. It's not just about talking. We got to do stuff for our continent. I mean, I don't know about you all, but aren't we sick of living in another continent when we have a rich, rich continent that God has blessed with all of these resources in Africa? Why are these governments failing us? We need to venture into politics, because in the diaspora, we have voice. And we need to bring all of these voices to those governments, corrupt governments, and we need to topple them. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say they need to go.
I went off for a moment.
Yes.
Kelly, you finish your thought. I just wanted to add something.
I think we have 2 minutes, so everyone will just have a minute or so.
Yeah, so I think, maybe just looking at the musicians again, we could think of the idea of influencers, right?
Yes.
So if, even folks who live in the diaspora or Africans who are really exposed, intentionally decide to look for, I'm back in Accra, let me go and look for where I can get Ivorian food, right? And let me take my people to go and eat Ivorian food. I think those are some of the decisions that, we can make. And also kind of like, bring people together in doing that. So I think, in influential places, wherever we are, we can do that. And then as diasporans, when we also are in our countries, we should also do that. Yeah, so I think that's what I want to add. I think we just have to take more responsibility individually.
I like that. Ed, and then Lotus, you have the last word. Ed, give us 1 minute.
No, Eddie has the last word. I just want to mention.
Okay.
I just want to mention that I'm looking forward for tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll bring numbers about women business, because we are linking this conversation with the agenda to 2030 and the 2063.
Right.
And the business of the foods in Africa is mainly a women business. If we want to empower women, financially speaking, food is one of them.
True.
Because I'm tired to see women just on the food business, going to China, buy food, clothes. And no, I'm tired to see them on clothing business. They need to go to the business where they use local products, where they use national productivity, and which is food.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ed, you have the last word.
Excellent. Oh, thank you so much for giving me the last word. I hope it's worth it. But look, when I started today, I took a quote from Thabo Mbeki, which simply said, "I am an African."
Yes.
And as I close it off today, I still am proud to be an African. But one thing that I've realized and I've learned is that poverty is a way of dehumanizing us. It makes you look less of a human being if you are someone who's poor. So it is our duty to make sure that every African is poor no more. So that whenever they stand and say, "I am an African," they are a proud human being. That's my last word.
That is so wonderful. Thank you for having that last word. I am African. Lotus, how about
I am African.
Ato?
Oh, I've always been African. Even my nickname is Mighty African. I am African.
And Ed, say it one more time.
I
Ed,
am African.
I'm African. That's right. Thank you, guys. This has been just wonderful. I'm going to send the recording, and then I leave Ato and Ed the job of disseminating this all over the globe. Okay?
I will disseminate as well.
Yes. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow, same time.
Great.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. God bless. Bye.